Welcome to See You in the Lobby, episode, I don't know.
We're just rolling.
We have like a live taping today, so See You in the Lobby is...
We're making moves.
Is in its glow-up era, some would say.
Get on it now. Don't get on later. You know what's... Oh, it's probably before your time, the Mike Jones song. Back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Oh, you're not as young as I thought.
Yeah, well, I try to impress somehow. We're gonna have fun as shit though. We're going to be live in College Park before the Maryland Iowa game.
Go Terps.
Which is big time. Yeah, go Terps. Caitlin Clark is my biggest enemy once again. Anyway, we had a very, well, I guess we had disagreement over it, but NBA All-Star Weekend happened this past weekend, which obviously brought lots of thoughts on learning lessons and how the W may be able to figure out what went right, what went wrong from it, especially as we've now kind of, like Las Vegas is kind of home, it feels like, for WNBA All-Star now. We have a cool setting. We have some money being poured into it. People are showing up. It feels like over the last few years, it's become more of a thing than it ever has been. I'm curious for you, Marissa, what you saw out of the All-Star game on the NBA side and what you think the W may be able to do with it.
I probably watched 15 total combined minutes of All-Star Weekend because it was so boring to me. I think at all levels, the All-Star Games, Pro Bowl just needs to be reimagined. It's so tired at this point.
Very.
I mean, Pro Bowl tried this year, like with dodgeball and stuff like that.
That was not it.
I just think it needs a total revamp. The challenges and stuff like that, people just they're not into it as much. The draft, I thought they just dragged it on. It's like a whole hour before the game.
It felt like when you do a fantasy football draft with your friends where you're like...
Yeah, like it dragged it on a little bit. Like if it was just like pick, but I think they did too much. I don't know. I'm not a fan of All-Star Weekend anymore on the NBA side just because it's like not as exciting. And a lot of the stars don't participate anymore.
That's what sucks.
So that's disappointing. So I think the NBA needs to find some way to incentivize a Ja Morant to be in the dunk contest and Anthony Edwards to be in the dunk contest. No knock to the guys that were in there, but especially like...
Shout out McClung.
Like, no, this is no knock to him at all. But
Trey Murphy did a good job too.
It's just, I just don't know how I feel about a G League player being in the NBA dunk contest. Like,
yeah,
you kind of have to. That's what KD has said in his on his podcast. It's something that you earn. Like, it used to be a badge of honor to be asked to be in the NBA dunk contest, and like Jordan was in it. Like the big names, Kobe. Like that was like how you solidify being one of the greats in the NBA. And now it's just like a free for all. I think. While his dunks are amazing, he is a great dunker. For me, it kind of watered down what the meaning of All-Star Weekend is.
I agree with that. I hope that McClung winning and it being like a G League guy makes NBA players be like, we got to do something here. And I hope that McClung already said he wants to be in it again next year if the NBA will have him do it. I hope someone wants to challenge him. Like I hope somebody looks at that and they're like, I could crush this kid. And that inspires them to want to do it. Like maybe we're missing that type of edge out of the dunk contest. But the thing that I'm interested in is the NBA did a draft before their All-Star game. It was the first time they ever did it. LeBron and Giannis. Giannis obviously drafting Ja Morant too early was hilarious. I'm curious if this is something you would like to see the WNBA do before their All-Star game or not.
I'd say no. Like like I said, it dragged it out. It made it too long. Like All-Star weekends are just so long in general. And two, I don't know if the W would be able to do it because is ESPN going to give them the airtime, the extra 30 minutes to an hour to do that? Point. Or are they going to put cornhole on? If the W did do it, I think we should put our own spin on it and take it back to like the blacktop days where you're shooting for captains.
Oh, so wait, I like that.
Maybe it's the top four vote getters. They're shooting for captains. Then the two shoot for first pick. And doing it that way. I think putting our own little element spin on it and taking it back to
that'd be a lot of fun. I feel like that would be competitive. I wonder if like players would strategize missing shots to be on certain teams.
Yeah, like, I think that'd be fun. Like top four vote getters, they're shooting. They're doing some challenge if they want to put a challenge into it. But I say just like at the Blackhawks, shooting for the top of the key. First two to make it, they're captains.
Good point.
And then those two shoot for first pick, and then you're picking literally like the days when you used to play. And I say we don't do like the NBA did and pick because you're an all-star. at this point, at this level, like getting picked last, like it shouldn't bother you. You're
one
all-star.
of the best 24 players in the world.
So just pick. I think that'd be a lot of fun and something that the W could do differently.
I was gonna say, because otherwise, if you have the top vote getters, it's probably gonna be Breanna Stewart and Asia Wilson, and then what? They're just gonna draft their teammates.
Literally. So I think either shooting for captains or shooting for teams. I think that
would be a lot of fun.
I think that could be fun.
I do like that quirk to making it more interesting than just like conferences, you're placed on this team or whatever else, whatever other ideas they might be.
I like that because then too, I think it get a little spicy if you're shooting for what team you're on, because you may end up with somebody you don't really vibe with. And to your point, you're not just picking your teammates. It's not becoming like who's friends with who.
I want like I want to see some weird positionality, like the LeBron's team had both Embiid and Jokic, which when are you ever going to see two centers playing in the same lineup? Yeah. Like it was fun to just see that type of thing. It'd be fun if the WNBA had the same thing. A lineup of 5 guards, maybe if they all hit their shots, and a lineup of 5 bigs.
I think because at this point, like in All-Star games too, like you see NBA All-Star game, it's just letting everybody shoot and like there's no real defense play. So I think maybe like just something different. And then if it doesn't work, then okay. But I think those are the things that the W needs to do to kind of make it a little more exciting.
I'm curious, I'm in the presence of an All-Star. What was your All-Star experience like? Do you remember the defense being as bad as what we saw on the NBA side this past weekend? Or what was the vibe playing in it?
So going into it was an amazing experience. It was a lot of reflection for me because I had goals for myself coming into the league and wanted to, I was a number 2 pick, so those expectations I had on myself, especially coming off of, having such a great college career, and then it taken me so long to make my first All-Star team. But so it was just very, very exciting. But going into it, I had heard from people that Maya Moore takes no days off. All-Star game, she's still trying to get buckets and she's still going to D you up. So I think playing with the likes of Maya in that game and like a catch, they only know one way to play basketball, and that's to give it your all and to play hard. So there was some defense being played. Not obviously the level of a game, but definitely a little more than you would think.
Who was MVP that year?
I think it was Maya.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Maya, but it was a super fun experience.
So I hope the W does something, get a little weird. Yeah. Try it. I really like the idea of your blacktop feeling. I feel like that's such a relatable thing for fans watching too, to be like, that feels like us at the park.
Yeah, and you could do that in a quick 30 minutes. Like I think where the NBA went wrong is that was so long, that
they needed a clock. They needed a clock.
We don't need the quick little funny antidotes. We don't need the story behind. Just say, all right, give me Joker. Give me.
Like, listen, we were already going to make the jokes of like LeBron recruiting his future Lakers teammates. Like that was always coming.
Yeah, because I really think just taking it back to the days where you're just playing on the blacktop, because it's quick. You're taking 2 minutes to draft your team, then you're playing. Yeah, it could be fun. I think W, if you take the idea, just let me get a little bit of credit.
I think it should happen. Anywho, next segment. I'm going to let you cook on a little topic that I know we talked about pre-show that you have some strong feels about, but the WNBA gave its second Advocacy Award at the All-Star Game.
I need my computer for this.
Year 1 went to Chris Paul. Year 2 went to Pau Gasol. I think a lot of people were once again critical over what this award really entails. So Marissa, I will let you go off on how you feel about it.
Buckle in, friends.
Here we go.
So I'm going to read to you all.
There's your camera.
The Kobe and Gigi Bryant WNBA Advocacy Award aims to honor advocates and influencers who tirelessly use their talent and platform to raise awareness for the WNBA and women's and girls basketball in various ways, like Kobe was so committed to doing. Okay. Mm-hmm. First, I think it's the award and its reason behind it is perfect. Kobe was making it his mission post-career, especially because of Gigi, to really promote and propel women's basketball forward. You saw that with Mamba Academy. You saw that with his involvement with Gigi's team. So I think this award fits perfectly. Where I struggle is that it's been 2 years now, and the first year went to Chris Paul, and this year went to Pau Gasol. Two men, two NBA players. Then, when you listen to the description, tirelessly using their talent and platforms to raise awareness. I'm going to go through CP3's contributions to the W. And let me start with saying, before people are all in my DMs and my mentions and commenting on the show, Chris Paul, I have nothing against him. I have nothing against Gasol. I think they are both great. And I do think they are allies for the W. Again, nothing against them. So CP3, he won the award because, and this is, says it's a case of small gestures adding up, like the time he took a moment in a post-game interview to call attention to the start of the WNBA's 2021 season. All he did was say, hey, the WNBA season's starting. WNBA season's starting. He wore a WNBA shirt in the tunnel pregame. He expressed solidarity for the W's advocacy in Breonna Taylor's murder. Lastly, he purchased 500 tickets for a Phoenix Mercury playoff game. Okay. Where in that is tireless efforts to help promote the W?
I didn't hear it.
It's using your platform for sure, but for me, it's like that's, and again, no knock to Chris Paul. He didn't have to do these things, but we're giving out awards for doing the bare minimum. Like that's just what you do to support. Like that's not going above and beyond. And the 500 tickets, again, I'm just going to keep saying it because I know people are going to be commenting on this. The 500 tickets, it's a tax write-off for him. You know, like it's not just all genuinely out of his heart. I know him and DT have a great relationship, but that's like the bare minimum what you can do. And he's not the first nor the last NBA player that's done that. I remember when I played in Indy, Paul George and CJ Miles, they were buying tickets for our playoff games too. So it's something that folks have done. All right, now we'll go to Gasol. This is straight from the Dubs website. Through his work in the community and his support as a WNBA investor, Powell has shown to be a longtime advocate in his career for the league and women's sports advocate, helping to carry on the legacy of Kobe and Gigi, said our commissioner. He serves as a leader for women's basketball at the national team level and has been a vocal advocate for prioritization of women in professional and coaching pipelines. He's a role model for other male athletes. Gasol has been vocal about the inclusivity of female coaches in the NBA, publishing a Players Tribune article about diversity and equality in sports. He was recently identified as FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup 22 ambassador and was elected an IOC member of the Athletes Commission. Now here's where I really almost dropped my phone when I read this. Gasol, a familiar face at WNBA games, is a large vocal supporter of athletes of the league and what they stand for. And his public advocacy has increased the league's viewership, sponsorship, and investment. For me, that is a very, very strong statement to make about Paul Gasol, which, again, no knock to him. To my knowledge, I have not seen his support of the W prior to the passing of Kobe and Gigi. And I think him and Kobe obviously had a great relationship. They're close friends, and he's, looks after the family since Kobe's been gone. And it's his way of honoring Kobe. So no knock to that. But what? Seriously, him making his investment in the W, him posting him and his wife in a W t-shirt, that's increased viewership and sponsorship and investment. It's so insulting, in my opinion, to the folks that are out there. I'll use Matt as an example. I'll use you, who are out there really pushing the W4. These folks that for years have created these social platforms and these media platforms with the money out of their pockets, with no investment, because they really truly believe in this league and want to push the league forward. I need to see some statistics or some numbers behind that his advocacy the last couple of years has done those three things, because I'm sorry, I'm calling bullshit. I don't buy that at all.
Yeah, I think that's the really tough part. And it does kind of feel a little bit insulting to try to place all of this honor on people who are helping. They're definitely helping the game. I think that they're here for the right reasons. I don't knock either one of those players for their involvement in trying to boost the league, but platforming them as these champions when maybe they're doing some stuff. They're not doing above and beyond what is probably expected of somebody who is in a position of power like the two of them are. And that goes for any player they pick in the future as well. If they continue to just pick NBA players who are making financial donations or buying tickets or wearing shirts and making Instagram posts, that is standard for what an NBA player should do as an ally of the league. But we have to start recognizing a little above and beyond if we're going to place this big award on somebody. So I agree with what you're saying. I mean, it's
It's lazy in my opinion. It's lazy and it's frustrating because we sit here and talk about it all the time, and it's you and I, and then friends that I have that play in the W or and still in the W. We don't need the NBA to validate what we're doing, and it seems like for so long our league has tried to use these guys to push a specific narrative. We've been trying for years. It hasn't moved the needle forward, in my opinion. Showing LeBron and these people courtside of this WNBA game, I can't imagine. I'm flipping through ESPN and I see, oh, LeBron's courtside of the game. Let me go buy season tickets for this game. KD's, at a Nets game before he went to Phoenix. Oh, KD supports the league? Let me go support the league. I think that message is towards a very specific audience that no matter what you say to them, they're not going to think women's basketball, or women's sports in general, has a value.
And also, you read the description of the award. Nowhere does it say that this award has to go to an NBA player, right? We've just sort of made that now a trend in these past 2 years. So if there are no NBA players who are going above and beyond, we can look outside it. Why does it have to go to a guy? Why does it have to go to a player? Why does it? There's a wide range of people who I think are doing the advocacy that's being talked about in the description for the award. Find and celebrate those people. I mean, those people may be people the league wants to attach itself to anyway and help their cause as well. If they're supporting each other, I think that that's a mutual relationship there worth exploring. So yeah, it just feels like we are honoring some folks who are doing something, but not doing an advocacy award level of doing something.
Yeah. And I think where it's frustrating for me as well, and I would think I could speak for most W players, is that it's never been an issue of NBA players respecting our game and supporting us. Other than maybe a Gilbert Arenas, I've never heard an NBA player be so vocal about the W being this or it's not quality basketball. But you, especially, like we were talking off camera, like the younger guys in the NBA, like you listen to them and they're just like, oh, I looked up to this player growing up. Like I loved her. And then Jaden Ivey, you look at him and he says all the Notre Dame women were his idols growing up. So it's never been a matter of NBA players respecting what the W does or what women's basketball players do, because one, they're in the trenches. They know what it takes to be a professional athlete, the grind, the sacrifice, the happy moments, the down moments. They know what it takes. So if nothing else, they respect that grind. And then they know at the end of the day, basketball is basketball. And then to your point, for the first 2 years of this award to be given to two NBA players, I don't think they dug deep enough. And I'd like to imagine that Kobe would want this award to be a little more meaningful. And again, not knocking what CP3 and Powell did. And I don't know, maybe Vanessa has some say in who the award goes to. And then if that's the case, then fine. I just think there's so many people, WNBA Twitter, women's basketball Twitter, that do so much behind the scenes, that are on the front lines trying to push women's basketball forward, that should be recognized. And to your point a little bit ago, like I think the W working with them, that's how it's things. Totally. I think we kind of look at it at this macro level that we need the NBA guys to support and to put their money and invest. But I think it's kind of like the little things. It's taking the people that It's more about quality than quantity in a way. But you get a bunch of these people that are doing the work and they're at the front lines and you bring them together. I think that's how you make the steps forward, because they're in it for the right reason. Yeah,
it needs to feel more mission driven. Yeah, and I don't know if it necessarily feels that right now. I mean, we're only 2 years into the award. Maybe we will take some considerations now after a pattern has been established with two NBA players who we're kind of feeling meh about. So maybe they'll change it a little bit. Yeah, that's sort of the hope.
And again, thankful for Chris's support and Powell's good support.
There's the players didn't choose to be honored. Yeah, is the way I would put it.
And I think we have anything in society, we have such a tendency when a conversation like this, the two things can still exist. We can disagree with them getting the award and the reasons why, but we can also agree that what they are still doing is helpful. Like the two things can exist.
Nuance.
Yeah. Just because we're disagreeing on this doesn't mean we're knocking them or it's a negative on them. The two can coexist.
I agree, but I'm glad you called it out, because I think a lot of people in the W sphere are feeling the same exact way. So the only way you can get change in something is say that you think it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, just a tad bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Ding.
My rant for the day.
Final one. Very interesting. For the first time all year, I believe, South Carolina women's basketball did not receive every single number 1 vote in the AP poll. 1 vote went to number 2, Indiana. The justification behind it was that South Carolina took overtime to beat Ole Miss this past weekend. Indiana has gone 9-0 against all of their ranked opponents. They have just 1 loss all year, and they look pretty freaking solid. Marissa, do you think that Indiana should get some number 1 seed consideration?
Oh, they're definitely a number 1 seed.
Sorry, not number 1 seed. Number 1 AP poll ranking.
No, I don't at all. I think Indiana, for the past few years, they've definitely made a name for themselves in women's basketball. I think they're the number 2 team in the country right now. Like you said, how many ranked teams have they beat?
They're 9-0.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. But again, there's levels to it. Like we talked about, we talked South Carolina, LSU. There are levels to it. You put South Carolina against Indiana, I think it's a 15-point game. And the Ole Miss overtime game, that happens. Like when you were a defending national champion, when you're a team like South Carolina, when you're a UConn, when you're Maryland, everybody is going to give you their best game. So that there's going to be slippage. You can't play a perfect game at all times. And so like that, does that worry me? No. That happens. I remember when we were number 1 in the country, we almost lost to Florida State if it wasn't for KT's heroic shot at the buzzer. Like that, it happens because you're going to get everybody's best game. And I think too, people underestimate how hard it is to do what a South Carolina is doing, and coming off a national championship season and being undefeated because of those reasons I just alluded to. I think people don't understand, and you take the basketball out of it. Them being undefeated right now, that started in the off season. And I can speak from experience. After we won the national championship, we were young and inexperienced, so we didn't know what it took to repeat. But after we won, we celebrated for probably 6 months after. We did not deserve to repeat that next year. So knowing it's hard to repeat. It's hard to have undefeated seasons. But that started for them in the offseason. That started in their offseason work. It started in after they cut those nets down a few weeks later, preparing for this season. So like that's one thing I think people will take into consideration. Then too, like I said, you're gonna get everybody's best game. Like it's not just okay, like we beat 9 ranked teams, now we should be the number 1 team in the country. Like again, there's levels to it. I don't know who have they played to South Carolina's level or caliber.
I mean, they haven't beaten a Stanford like South Carolina has. They did beat Iowa recently, which is a big deal. But yeah, I mean, trying to think of anybody. I don't know if they have any top 5 wins. Maybe Iowa's ranked number 5, but still, Big Ten's a tough conference.
Yeah,
to come out.
Yeah, there's a lot of ranked teams, but again, I think there's levels to it. Like South Carolina
I'm with you.
And when you're so dominant and inconsistent, like a South Carolina, even like when UConn's at full strength, you're number 1 team, and for a reason. You make it look easy. So when you see, they took it to overtime, or they barely beat UConn without AZ and Paige, like it's still tough because mentally you have to be like, okay, all right, they're out, but they're without their 2 best players. It should be easy. Like there's so many pieces that go into it other than just like going out and tipping the ball. Like there's the mental aspect to it. There's the pressure of being undefeated and knowing you're South Carolina. The pressure your coach puts on you. The expectations. Like it's a lot that goes into it. And hats off to what Indiana's been able to do, because
they're great.
When I was in school, Indiana women's basketball wasn't a thing, and since the coach has been there, they've been trending upward. Like I've witnessed it firsthand because Maryland's in the Big Ten. So it's been great what they can do, but I just don't think they're there yet where they can, come on.
I get it. I see the vision in wanting to commend Indiana for a 1-loss season to date against a really, really tough schedule. I would not have given them a number 1 overall vote. But I think it goes to show that the gap maybe isn't as steep as we thought a couple of weeks ago, where we thought South Carolina is going to run away with this. South Carolina is, number 1, and there's no number 2. Like there's no number 2 even in consideration. So I like the idea that South Carolina could run into some trouble. I think Indiana is super experienced. I mean, their best player is damn 23 years old. Grace Berger's having a great season. So I think that if they do end up seeing each other in the tournament, I think it could be a good game. But yeah, I agree. South Carolina is clearly the number one team still have not lost all season. That's pretty insane. And like Marissa was talking about, every team wants to be that team that beats South Carolina. Yeah. So the fact that they've been able to hold that off so far, they are the number one overall team.
Like, it's almost disrespectful to whomever didn't give them that vote. They're the defending national champions. They are undefeated. Okay, they went to overtime with Ole Miss. But, like, they've earned it.
You know what's going to happen now. South Carolina's going to win their next game by 75 points.
Yeah, like, you think Don probably, like, ripped them a new one after that. Like, so people just don't get, like, there's so much that goes into it when you're the number one team and when you're undefeated. And so much of that is just, like, internal pressure. Like, you have to manage that. But again, like, good for Indiana. And
I agree. They're a really fun team, and I'm very excited to see how they perform in the tourney because I think maybe before the season started, I would have said South Carolina, don't even think about anybody else. I'm still picking South Carolina, but I'm thinking about other teams now, which...
Yeah, I don't think... Yeah, like you said, a few weeks ago when we had this conversation, it was South Carolina and everybody else.
Yep.
I do agree with you that gap is closing. I don't think South Carolina is unbeatable.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I don't think they're unbeatable. Do I think it's that whatever team beats them is going to have to play damn near a perfect game?
You have to play perfect, yeah.
But yeah, I think come tournament time, you never know what can happen. And tournament time is the craziest because like the stars have to be aligned for you. You have to have good matchups. Hope nobody gets in foul trouble. Have one off shooting night and you could be screwed. So
I can't wait. We'll save it for when we get closer to the actual tournament, but I cannot wait to pick your brain on actual tournament experience because we always say how wild and chaotic it can be, and I cannot wait to hear from somebody who has been through it multiple times, like what the real nuances are that we haven't.
It's the most
we aren't thinking of as fans. But Marissa, do we have anything else before we want to sign off?
Go Terps.
Go Terps. Caitlin Clark. Maybe take a rest. That knee, maybe.
Actually, low key. Okay, I want the Terps to win, and this is going to be aired after that. But I kind of want to witness her craziness in person. Because last year when I went to the game, Lang and I were super hyped, and we held her to like 6 points. Like I kind of want to see her go for 40, but us win.
I just know she's gonna rip.
Brenda, don't kill me! Don't kill me!
But if she scores 40, we want to see Diamond score 50. I think that's fine. Yeah. We want to see some good basketball.
I mean, you guys know it's always go Terps.
Good basketball. Get your phones out.
You should use like a radio, like a late night radio voice.
Should I? Yeah, like, I don't know if I have that in me.
Welcome to see you in the lobby.
Should I do some like ASMR stuff? Like, is your phone out? I'm going to need you to log into twitter.com, type in Gaming Society and hit the follow button. When you're done with that, I need you to go on Instagram, type in Gaming Society and hit the follow button. When you're done with that, I need you to open up TikTok, type in Gaming Society and hit the follow button. And there's more.
There's more.
I'm going to need you to go to YouTube.
Ooh.
Type in Gaming Society.
Hit.
And hit the follow button. And if you're still on Club Penguin, so are we. You're going to have to type in Gaming Society and hit that follow button. If you go to thegamingsociety.com, actually go to our Bet on Women page, you can follow the Bet on Women newsletter where you're going to get a lot of women's sports stuff, including whatever Marissa and I talk about on the show. Can we finally close this one out? I'm so sorry you all had to listen to this. See ya.